What's up everyone, back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing yet another beer from Revolution Brewing, and they're out of Chicago, Illinois, and this is their Vanilla Deth, and this is a part of their Deep Wood series, and this is the 2021 release. So they are calling this one an Imperial Stout aged in bourbon barrels with vanilla. It comes in at 13.6% alcohol by volume, 35 IBUs at the time of review. This can is just under 4 months old. And I want to give a huge thanks and shout out once again to a very good friend of mine and a viewer of the channel, Kenny, for hooking me up with this one. So big thanks to him. In the description box, I'll post a link to the beer mail unboxing video I did that contains all the goodies that Kenny hooked me up with. And this is the final beer of the box. And did I save the best for last? I hope so. And that's because Revolution's barrel game is on point. So on the side here, we'll read one sentence because the rest of it is like tasting notes. It says, "Behold, our original barrel-aged Imperial Oatmeal Stout, now I want to say Death Star, Death Star, but we'll say Deth Star because Deth is how it's correctly pronounced. And that's courtesy of a good friend of mine, a fellow beer tuber, Kyle, over at No Hype Beer Reviews. I believe he emailed the brewery and they said it's Deth, not Death. So Deth Star. Death Star, with hand-split whole vanilla beans. So they're using hand-split whole vanilla beans in this one, and they talk about tasting notes. So, like I said, when it comes to their barrel game, it's on point. I've had their Cafe Deth and their Maple Deth in this series. I've not had the regular Deth Star. I've not had that. So I'd like to try it at some point. Now, when it comes to like a barrel-aged Imperial Stouts with vanilla, my two favorite of all time would be a Bourbon County brand stout, the Vanilla Rye. I think that's a 2014 vintage. And then Bottle Logic, their Fundamental Observation. I think I had the 2015. Those were top tier. The Bourbon County a little bit better, but both of them are fantastic. Is this going to be as good as those? We'll see. Anyway, let's give it a pour into the Tiku here and see what we got going on. Now, I did spill a little bit. I'm trying to, yeah, I did spill a little bit. God damn it. I knew I would too. So I'm trying this new method. Shout out to a fellow beer tuber, friend of mine, John over at Hops and Brews. He said, pour it on the side when it comes to these, the cans. Like you pour it from the side, a little bit better flow and whatnot, but I have not perfected it. So here we stand with a terrible pour. Anyway, whatever, doesn't matter. Spill a little bit, I'll get over it. So I just don't want it to spill everywhere. So how did it pour out? Well, I poured it terribly because I tried the new pour. I've tried a couple of different, the pours, and I've been doing all right, so that's the first fail. Anyway, there are sheets of alcohol legislated, sheets, curtains, whatever, tons. It's pitch black, poured out pretty much pitch black. Had a finger, or maybe like 3/4 of a finger of this straight up mocha-colored head, dissipated to a thin film. Yeah, it looks like a barrel-aged beer of some sort. Let's get a nose here. Whew. So the first thing I thought of when I sniffed it, vanilla Coke, believe it or not. I'm getting cola vibes to this one, and the vanilla is pronounced, so like vanilla Coke. If you've ever had vanilla Coke, that's what I got in the aroma. But as it starts to open up, I'm starting to get more of like a actual Imperial Stout character. So there's a blanket of like, bourbon. There's vanilla, there's oak, and it's kind of blanketing a really nice Imperial Stout base. What I'm getting in this is roasted, almost charred type of like malt sensation. There's a lot of like, I'd say more of a dark kind of chocolate, like a 50-60% cacao bar. So not sweet, more bittering. There's a little bit of a like a caramel, like burnt sugar thing going on. I'm getting a little bit of like an umami kind of vibe to this one. Raisins, molasses. There's just a lot of sweet characters, sweet, really deep, rich, decadent malt characters, like really deep malt characters. I will say this, despite the fact that this is Vanilla Deth, right? This, to me, does not have a shit ton of vanilla on the nose. Is it there? Sure. If I was doing this blind, I wouldn't necessarily jump right to vanilla. If this was a mystery / whodunit, I would just be like, oh, it's a nice barrel character. I'm getting vanilla, I'm getting oak, I'm getting some of the spirit itself, but it's a really nice base Imperial Stout as well. Yeah. Man, it smells really good. A lot of the character... Man, what the hell was that? What is that? Yeah, so the umami is getting kind of bigger for me. It's almost like a soy sauce, but it's not like over the top, but it's just noticeable. It smells really good. Now the vanilla is starting to pop. And this was right out of my, I have two different beer fridges. I have one for like hot forward beers, fruited sours and whatnot. And then I have one for darker beers and Imperial Stouts. I keep that typically around 52. And I grab it out of that fridge and maybe let it sit for 5-10 minutes and go to ham. So this is probably like 55 degrees, we'll say. Which is almost the temperature down here. So it's like almost cellar temperature. I don't know. It smells really good. Super complex. I would, dare I say, this is more complex than the Maple Deth and the Cafe Deth that I had. It has such a complexity to it. It smells really good. Let's get into it. Cheers, everybody. Thanks again, Kenny. What the fuck is that? That's weird. I apologize for the smacking, but what the fuck? The body in this is lower side of full to medium full. It's not like thick and syrupy and chewy. I'd say this drink's more like a 11 or 12% barrel-aged Imperial Stout. It doesn't quite reach almost 14%. So it's a little bit thin from that aspect, but it's fine. Like a good friend of mine, Philip Beer Tuber, we'll just name everybody in this review, all my friends in beer tubing. Paul over at PaTroll News, he always says, everything's thin. You could be chewing the beer and it's thin. To me, this is thin for an almost 14% barrel-aged Imperial Stout with vanilla, but it's not thin enough where I would make a fuss about it. It's like lower side of full. The mouthfeel is carbonated, but it's somewhat smooth. Body mouthfeel are fine. The taste, why I said what the fuck? I'm getting like a burnt marshmallow. And if you follow the channel and you know what I say about a bunch of different reviews that I've done that either have vanilla or marshmallow or lactose in it, a lot of times when there's vanilla in a beer, I'll get marshmallow. When there's marshmallow in a beer, I get vanilla. When there's lactose in a beer, I could get marshmallow or vanilla. For me, this tastes like there's marshmallow more so than vanilla. It has more of a synthetic vanilla kind of vibe, but it's like a toasted synthetic vanilla or a toasted synthetic like marshmallow, and that's pretty much the vanilla. So it's somewhat synthetic in the taste. There's a really nice Imperial Stout here. Again, they're using Death Star as the base. Imperial, Oatmeal Stout, and it just has tons of chocolate, more bitter and chocolate in this one. There's caramel, there's molasses. That umami is not as, bombastic as it was in the nose, but there's a little bit of umami soy thing. Yeah, I mean, the base beer is here and it's nice, but I'm still trying to process that synthetic kind of toasted marshmallow flavor. So let's properly review it. Right at the tip of the palate, I'm hit with that. We'll say toasted marshmallow. Again, it's more synthetic. It doesn't seem as natural. And it hits right at the front of the palate. Right after that, though, bitter and dark chocolate. But it's not like I said 50-60% cacao bar. Maybe not like that. More of just like a sweeter dark chocolate, but definitely dark chocolate. There's caramel, there's umami, soy sauce, a little bit of that, molasses. Midway through the palate, that's where the barrel sneaks in and you're getting an actual spirit presence to it. Then like an authentic kind of, it's weird because it's like, it seems disjointed for the vanilla anyway. Synthetic toasted marshmallow at the front of the palate and real like vanilla barrel-aged presence at the middle of the palate. There's a bit of an oak tannin dryness, carries onto the back. There's a little bit of a mild like earthiness that's somewhat bittering. While it's sweet, it finishes semi-dry with a mild bitterness. It's still sweet. 13.6% barrel-aged Imperial Stout with vanilla is probably going to be sweet, but it's not like a pastry stout or anything crazy like that. It just has a nice sweetness to it. I think for me, the key, or I was going to say the key issue here, and I guess we'll say it's key issue, and the one thing I'm having a problem with is that synthetic vanilla character. I don't remember drinking Bourbon County Vanilla Rye and having that issue. I don't remember drinking Bottle Logic's Fundamental Observation. There's a lot of beers with vanilla that were authentic in terms of vanilla. This is somewhat synthetic, and I don't know if anyone out there has got that with this, but it just seems kind of, I hate to say fake, but if this said like Imperial Stout or Imperial Stout Asian bourbon barrels with natural vanilla flavor, I think I'd be a little bit more on board. The fact that it says with vanilla and they say, what do they say, hand split whole vanilla beans? Like, it just doesn't seem like authentic vanilla to me. Keep in mind, my palate is absolutely shit, and I don't know what I'm talking about most of the time. Here's the thing, though. It's fucking really good. It's not as good as Maple Deth. It's not as good as Cafe's Deth. It's not as good as a couple other beers I had from them. They're very special. Old Jacket, obviously not one of the best beers I've ever had. It's good, but I'm getting a fake synthetic toasted marshmallow. That's kind of the predominant note. And while this is good, I don't think it's as good as the Maple's Deth that I had. 13.6%, you know it's bigger, but I'd guess like 12 max. Hides the alcohol relatively well. A little bit of a warming into the chest. Slight astringency on the palate, but nothing too big. As you can see, I'm a bit disappointed, and that's because I guess I set myself up for disappointment. I thought this was going to be absolutely amazing, and it's really fucking good. It's just when I think of the Bourbon County Vanilla Rye and that Bottle Logic fundamental observation, I'm thinking top tier, some of the best beers I've ever had, and this is not in that realm. It's still really good, though. Not much more to say about it. We'll pour the rest in here, and we're going to pour it like, you know, the sideways pour again. And this time I do an okay job. Fuck my life. Yeah, I'm terrible at beer tubing. The fact that I have anybody watching my channel is a miracle in itself. Anyway, I poured the rest in here. It doesn't really matter. Vanilla Deth. Part of their Deep Wood series, the 2021 release. I think rating-wise, and this is another one of those beers, and recently I reviewed Coffee Bear from Hot Butcher, and I just was comparing it to their Fat Bear. I was like, oh, it doesn't touch this. And I think with this, I did a disservice to some degree because I'm comparing this with, you know, Bottle Logic's fundamental observation and Bourbon County Vanilla Rye. I don't think it's fair to this beer, but I think this is a really good beer. I just wish that kind of synthetic toasted marshmallow flavor I'm getting that is from the vanilla beans, I'd assume. I wish it was more of an authentic flavor, but at the end of the day, no problems giving this a 4.25 out of 5. Still a really good bourbon barrel-aged Imperial Stout that has vanilla in it. It's just, the vanilla is coming off, to my palate, a little bit synthetic and not natural, but it is natural. So that's just an issue with my palate. So tasting notes, they say, flaked and malted oats lend a supremely silky body that bellies the beer's considerable strength. Pronounced vanilla flavor and aroma blends harmoniously with chocolatey caramel maltiness and a blend of American and French oak. Enjoy now or store cold. So this is just under 4 months old. And, you know, so drank it relatively fresh. And, yeah, I mean, I'm not saying what they're saying here is wrong. It's just that vanilla flavor coming off as more of a toasted marshmallow and somewhat synthetic. So how many times did I say synthetic in this review? I don't know. Rewatch it. Every time I say synthetic, take a drink. Hopefully nothing bad happens to you. I don't know. Price availability. I think price points on beers like this, a part of their Deth series, the crazy barrel-aged Imperial Stouts with all different things going on. I think they're $40 4-pack. Correct me if I'm wrong out there. And availability, wherever you see Revolution, you probably see a lot of their beers within this series. We don't see Revolution here in the West New York area, so Kenny sent it my way, and I cannot thank you enough, Kenny, for this beer. I wanted to love it. I really enjoy it. I don't love it. But here's the thing. I want to try more from Revolution. I want to try more of their barrel series program. I want to try the base beer of this, any kind of variants, any of their, Old Jacket, anything in the, I think it's straight jacket, and then they do a bunch of different variations. I do have their strawberry jacket, which I'll get to at some point. I just want to try more Revolution barrel-aged stuff because they really do a good job. The Maple Deth was fantastic. This, really good. Just, it's my fault. It's this guy's fault for comparing it to beers that are top-tier amazing beers. It is. So if you've had this one before, post in the comment section. Let me know what you think about it. I hope everybody out there got more of an authentic vanilla flavor or marshmallow flavor. I unfortunately did not, so here we are. Anyway, huge thanks to Kenny. Thanks to everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. To the next one. Cheers.